What's up guys, back for more. It's Travis Sherman, and today we have a requested tutorial mainly for teachers, but we will be getting into multi-track editing. So for any students out there watching, this will be very, very beneficial. Now, a lot of teachers are getting asked to edit together a Zoom choir, and I'm doing air quotes. I know you can't see me. I don't know why I'm doing the air quotes, but I feel like it's necessary. A Zoom choir. So they're getting asked to do this. Even choir teachers are being asked to do this. So the tutorial today will be directed mainly towards teachers. Let's just take a look, and yep, currently we have 1.8 million people watching, which means I can only assume every single choir teacher in the United States is currently watching. Wow. Thank you for tuning in. Now, today we are going to be going over several different editing techniques, typically I go through the foundations of editing or editing 101, and that takes about 2 weeks. However, we don't have that kind of time. Who does? So we are getting a crash course today. Please, please, please utilize the live chat. I am monitoring that, and I can answer questions. However, if you want to go back and review or get more information on editing, you are certainly welcome to do that. You can head on over to the Springdale Public Schools YouTube channel. Look for the AMI. There it is right there. Or on the front page. Look, Dr. Jim Rollins. Can't go wrong with that guy. AMI Video Productions. That's what you're looking for. We're going to get a free ad here. You're welcome, Photoshop. There's a bunch of different editing tutorials on there. The ones you'd be looking for are Editing 101 Part 1 through 5. They're right here. They're pretty incredible. I heard they're up for Grammys this year. Get it? I bet all the choir teachers are just rolling in their chairs right now. Speaking of which, I'm going to be using terms associated with music, singing, instruments, so they're not going to make any sense. You guys are probably going to be cringing. I apologize in advance, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a video guy. And with that, let's get this road on the show, shall we? Let's close out of this. The very first thing, again, I'm going to make this so simple. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of explanation. If you want the explanation, again, go to YouTube, watch the videos, but I'm going to make it very simplistic. Number one, create a folder on your desktop, which I have done. Create a folder on your desktop and store all content there. All videos, all audio, if you want graphics, if you want whatever, all of it needs to be located right there. And it's very, very important. Again, I could explain it, but it'd take like 10, 15 minutes. So we're just gonna breeze by that. Make sure you put everything in one folder and do not move it. Don't move it. So you can see, I'm gonna open this up. Here are the PNG files that I sent via email. If you're watching it and you're like, hey, I didn't get that, please send me an email. The email is, you ready to write this down? TravisRocks4 at Gmail. That's right, I have 3 others. No, just kidding. It's T as in Travis Sherman, SHERMAN at sdale.org. And I will get you those files. We're going to use those files. It's not necessary to complete your edit, but hey, it'll help a lot. So I've stored everything in here, and we're going to go ahead and go down to the bottom here and open up Premiere Pro. Now, the very first time you open up Premiere Pro on the computer, if it's been a while, it's probably going to take like 3 minutes to do it. This time it shouldn't take 3 minutes, but it's going to go through its whole process. You do whatever. I'm just going to kill time by talking to you guys, because I know some of you just love to hear the sound of my voice. Man, we've got 2 million people now. That's incredible. We've picked up viewers. All right, so it's opening up. You're going to get to this screen right here. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to New Project on the left, and you're going to title it whatever you want to. I'm going to call it Zoom. And very important, again, everything we do is stored onto one folder in the desktop. One folder, very important. So we're going to go over here to Browse. And we're going to go to Desktop on the left-hand side. And right here is the Zoom folder. So I'm going to double click and I'm going to click Choose. Okay. Renderer. So if you click the drop-down arrow, by default, it sets the renderer to a GPU processor that most Macs do not have. It's just the new update with Adobe. So most Macs do not have this. If you've got a PC, sorry, I didn't mean to be biased. If you've got a super fast, and I'm talking like 32 gig RAM, 64 gig RAM, you can leave it there, no problem. If you don't, I would recommend putting it on Mercury Playback Engine software only, and that's gonna help you out a lot. And we're gonna click OK. Shazam! Okay. I'm going to reset. No. Sorry, guys. I know yours probably looks a little bit different, so I'm trying to reset it. Okay, so yours probably looks like this if you just opened it up. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to teach you how to maneuver things really, really fast. So if you click, you can actually drag these tabs around. Okay, so source window needs to go in the middle right here. Effect controls needs to stay. Audio clip mixer, we're going to click these 3 lines and close the panel. Metadata, click the 3 lines, close the panel. Program needs to stay there. Project, we're going to drag it up to the top right here. Media browser, 3 lines, close the panel. Libraries, close the panel. Info, close the panel. Effects, we're going to drag up to the top. Markers, close the panel. And history, close the panel. So you should have something roughly like this. Now, you can hover over. If you hover over between the different panels like this, it'll turn into a double-sided arrow, and you can drag and reposition things. So I typically try and make this one and this one the exact same size. So I'll just hover over and try and something like that. Maybe you want to make it a little bit bigger. I don't know. You just kind of maneuver it, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to go back to the default. It's the exact same thing. So this is what you should have. Now, let's make sure you guys understand the windows, because I will be saying go to the project window or look at the source window, and you need to know which one those are. So this right here is called the project window. You know it's the project window because right here it says project. So this is your project window. Right here is your source window. This allows you to preview your clips, your audio, whatever. It allows you to see it. This is your program window. Whatever shows up in your program window means it's in the final project. So this is what your final project will look like right here. And this is your timeline, this whole thing right here. This is going to allow you to actually edit. That's where 99% of your editing is going to take place, right here, okay? Next, you have to do this. Very important, you have to do this. Otherwise, everything we do today, you're going to be lost. It's not going to be working. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up here to Premiere Pro, and you're going to go down to keyboard shortcuts, and you're going to change this. You've got a preset by default. It's already going to be set to Adobe Premiere Pro default. We don't use Adobe Premiere Pro default. The keys are different. So we're going to change that to Final Cut Pro 7. That's kind of the standard everybody uses. So Final Cut Pro 7, very important that you change that. Otherwise, all the keys I'm going to be telling you to hit today are not going to be working. Okay, next. Now we're going to go over how to import. The easiest way to do this, there's multiple different ways. I'm only going to show you 2. The first one is hit Command-I, and it'll pull up your import panel, or you can go to File, Import, whichever. If you're on a PC, it's Control-I, so whatever you want to do. So I'm going to hit Command-I in my project window, left side, desktop. Let's go in, and we're just going to select everything, except you don't want to import your project, so don't select that. So we're going to select everything. And there we go. It's going to do its thing. Shazam. So everything's going to be located right here in your project window. Pretty easy. So if you double click on any of these clips, these are the clips. If you double click on the icon, it'll pull up in the preview window. Okay? If you double click on the audio, it pulls up in the preview window. So just double clicking on the icon. You don't want to double click on the actual name, because what happens is it highlights it, and there's a chance you're going to change the name, which leads to problems. So just make sure you're actually double clicking on the icon itself. That'll pull up the various different shots. Okay? Next, let's go over the very first thing you do. So it's very important. Essentially, what you're going to be doing today is editing a music video. I've done tons of music videos. I've found the easiest process for this. So we're going to go over that way. I realize that some of you may have watched university videos or band videos, and they told you some way to do it. Great. If that works for you, perfect. I hope I'm not contradicting what they're saying, but here's what I found the easiest way to do multi-track editing is, because that's what you're going to be doing. So the very first thing you do in a music video is you have to record the song. So make sure you have the song recorded. Here is the song this band has recorded. Actually, we shot this a long time ago. Here's the song. So the song has been recorded. I wish I could help you on recording songs and audio. I don't know much about audio, unfortunately. I know enough to barely get by. I like to say things like Phantom 48. to the audio guy. Like I'll walk up in a concert and I'll go, hey, you need Phantom 48? And they just look at me, but it makes me sound smart. That's about my extent of the knowledge, right? XLR, I'm good, yeah. All right, so you've recorded it. And the next thing is to get your captured video. So for a Zoom choir, I'm hoping students are smart enough to turn their phone the correct way, landscape, and submit these videos to you. Otherwise, you're gonna get some weird aspect ratios. What I found out, no matter what you do, they're gonna submit weird aspect ratios, and we're gonna go over how to fix that. I'm doing a teacher video, and the teachers are submitting the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life. Like one video was submitted and it's like a hexagon. The other was like, portrait style. It makes editing so difficult. So no matter what happens, you're probably gonna get some weird videos. You're probably gonna get some weird formats. Like if they use Screencastify or whatever that is, Premiere Pro will not use it. It cannot operate off of Screencastify. So make sure they're actually recording via Zoom. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. Or just use their webcam. They don't even need to record through Zoom. Just use their webcam or their phone. Set it down, landscape style. You'll be fine. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. The very first thing you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. If you don't do this, it's going to be very bad. Do not drag audio into your timeline first. What happens is when you drag, the very first thing you drag into your timeline, Premiere Pro reads it and says this is the standard. Okay, so audio is not the standard. We are actually going for video in a music video, so we need to find a very high quality video with the correct aspect ratio. If you need to write this down, do so. The ratio or the definition is 1920 by 1080. 1920 by 1080 is what you're shooting for. This is what the PNG files I built were for. If you don't have 1920 by 1080, the next step is 1280 by 720. How do you tell what the videos were shot? Well, if you come up in your project window and you scroll to the right a little bit, you will get some information, and there it is. If you keep scrolling, all these videos were shot at 1920 by 1080. So you need to go through your videos that you've imported and find one, just one, it doesn't matter which one, because you're gonna delete it in a second. Just find one that was set to 1920 by 1080. This one, for instance, was. So I'm just gonna drag it down and drop it into the timeline. Now, if you did not see how that worked, all you have to do in your source window, click in the middle and drag down. That's it, okay? So, here we go. The top layer right here, this, I'm gonna lock this for a second. This is your video layer, the top, video. By default, Premiere Pro allows you to have 32 different channels of video, 32. So if you have more than 32 people singing in your choir, it's gonna be a challenge. So reach out to me and I'll tell you how to fix that. We're not gonna go over that today. The bottom layer is your audio. So you've got video on top, audio on the bottom, pretty simple, okay? Next. Now we can bring in our music. So let's just take a listen to the first part of this music so you guys get an idea of what we're listening to. I guess let's just stop there. To play, the shortcut key for play is the space bar. You can also come right here in the middle. Right here, there is a play button, so you can do that. But the shortcut key is space bar. Let's back that up and just take a listen the first like 10 seconds.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty.
Okay, so there you go. You got an idea of what the song is. Pretty easy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drag in the song. To do that, for audio, if it only has audio, I know before you were like just click in the middle and drag it down. That's not going to work. So right here in the middle is a button that says drag audio only. If you click and drag it, you can drag it down to your audio. So we're going to put that we're just going to put it right there for right now. Okay? Easy enough. Next, let's just slide this down. All you have to do is click and drag and slide it down. And now let's put this on audio layer 1. Okay, everybody with me? If you don't know how to do that, let me go over again. To go back a couple steps, all you have to do is hit Command Z or Control Z if you're on a PC. So Command Z allows you to undo. To move it, you're just going to select and drag it down. Just going to select and drag it up. Okay, so let's listen to the music. Now we're going to go over how to sync audio and video up. This is probably going to be, well, it shouldn't be that much of a challenge because I always say people that are musicians or sing are naturally gifted editors because you know all about timing and rhythm and pacing and beats. So that's what an editor is. So let's go over this. Okay, so the easiest way to do this, if you hit Z, it turns into a magnifying glass, which allows you to zoom. And I'm going to click, 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 and it zooms in. If you hit A, it goes back to your normal tool. If you don't want to use your shortcut keys, over here on the left is a control panel, which allows you to select, the magnifying glass or the arrow. So if you forget the shortcut keys, that's fine. It's just quicker to do it that way. So let's back it up. Okay, so here we go. The easiest way to do this is if you go use your arrow keys, it goes left and right by 1 frame. So we're going to go to the very beginning. Okay. So right there is an inflection point. That is probably the very first strum of the guitar. Right there. You can actually hear it pop. And as an added benefit, on the right-hand side over here are your VU meters. You can actually see the inflection points. And again, you guys are probably rolling in your chair because that's not what it means. Inflection points, that's not what it means. Whatever, man. All right. So we're going to arrow over. Right there is where the strum hits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. And if you hover over the beginning of your audio, it turns into a red arrow. And you can click and drag, and it automatically will snap. If you drag it, it'll snap to that timeline marker. This blue line is called a timeline marker. So now, this point that we just set is officially where the song begins. Let me show you how to do that again. So I'm going to Command Z. We're going to go to the beginning. So if I arrow over using my right arrow key, I'm going to watch the meters and listen to the audio. Right there, you actually heard it pop. That is where the song officially starts. So I'm going to hover over it with the red arrow, and I'm going to drag it, and you'll see it kind of snaps to the blue line, and that's what we want. That is where the song officially starts. Okay, now we are ready to begin the editing process. So I'm going to come up to my first video. Let's just pretend this was a student submission, right? So let's listen to it. You just come up here, click in the source window, and press the space bar. Whenever you guys are ready. Okay, so there's the first strum. So let's back it up and try and match that inflection point. Arrow over, and there it is. Does everybody hear it? Okay. So what I'm going to do is in my source window, we're going to set a shortcut key that we want the video to start right there. And that shortcut key is I. And you'll see that it sets this marker that says this is where the video officially starts and it ends all the way through. So now what I can do is if I come down here and hover over this button right here, this one was drag audio only, this one is drag video only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the video down, and it matches exactly. So let's take a look now. It should match exactly. Sorry, sometimes because I've got it plugged into a switcher, it takes a second to do its thing and load. I apologize. There we go. All right, here we go. Now let's listen.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty. Watching you self-destruct.
Okay, so I'm not real happy with it. It looks like it's drifted a little bit. So what you can do is we can just arrow over and maybe slide it down 2 frames. Let's see if that fixes the issue.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty.
That looks closer. You could probably fine tune it and get it to match. But that's essentially what you're gonna do. Let's go over and try a different way. So I'm gonna delete this one. All you have to do is hit delete. Let's slide this timeline marker to right when the first vocal comes in, because you know that should be pretty much the timing that it should be. Okay, so S's, T's, and P's are very easy to match up because they pop a lot. Like you should be able to hear that come in. You should hear that. You should hear that. So we're gonna try on the P where he says picture perfect. And if you match it up, let's listen. You can actually hear the P come in right there. So I'm going to set my endpoint there this time. So that's where the P hits. So let's drag this in and see if that matches up now. So you can actually use like S's, T's, and P's. Those are pretty easy to match up. And let's just see if it's any better. We definitely know the vocals will be in sync, and that's kind of what matters, right?
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty. Watching you self-destruct.
Looks good to me. So that's what I would recommend doing. It is a choir video, so I would encourage you to find a P or a T or an S which really pops, and so match it up with that. Let's do one more. So we've got one video in there. Okay, so let's do another one. This time we don't really see it. Well, let's listen to when it comes in. Let's listen for the audio. Okay, so he is singing, but it's very faint because the guitar is obviously right into the camera. So that's going to be a little harder to match up the P's and T's. But if you listen carefully, you can hear the S. Listen. Right, so right there. So I'm going to arrow over. And you can actually hear it. That's where the S starts. So I for in. Let's come over here. and find the S.
Picture perfect world you trade for one.
Right there's the S. That's where the S comes in, and we're going to drag this down to that starting point. So now, if it loads, come on. There we go. So now it should be on beat. Let's hope.
For one so empty. What?
Looks good to me. So that's how you're going to go through and sync up the audio, and we'll do that multiple times just so you guys kind of get the habit. I'm going to extend this out because you want all the videos to match. Now, let's go over how you're going to actually edit this. So right now, we're doing what's called multi-track editing. Currently, we have 2 tracks. So how do we show all tracks at once? Well, if you click on one of them, let's click on the top one, this one. If you click on it and you come up here to Effect Controls, this allows you to manipulate the video. So right here, you can change the position and the scale, which is going to be very important. So you click on it, Effect Controls, and you change the position and scale. So if I click on motion, it actually creates a blue line around the actual image, which allows you to see it a little bit better. So I'm going to scale it down just so you guys can see, you know, there's how you scale it. Something like that, you can drag and scale, and then you can come over here, you can drag and kind of move it around. You can, this is your Y-axis, just like a graph. I know you guys require people, you probably don't know math and graphs, but hey. All right, you can also type in numbers. For instance, if you know for a fact you want the scale to be 25%, you can just type in 25 and it will automatically do that for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the first one now, and I'm also going to change that to 25 just so it matches the exact same. So now if I drag it around, you know, you get this, and there you go, right? So there's how you guys kind of move it around. Now, personally, I don't like the idea of the videos being like matched up so perfect, right? I don't like that there's no definition between them. It's hard to differentiate them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the second video, and I'm just going to drag it over here, and then I'm going to drag it up. And the idea is that you want this clear separation between the videos. So if I click on the first one now, I drag it over, and I drag it up, you can kind of see now, whoops, too far, where are you going? There we go. So you can kind of see that there's that black line separation, and that's what I would encourage, is to have some type of separation. It makes it look a little bit neater. So you can also come over here to the second one. Let's say you get this position perfect, right? I like this position right here. You can come over here and you can actually read the position. So it's 274 on the X, 169 on the Y. So I would just change the Y position to 169, and it's going to be exactly the same height on the Y axis. Okay, so you could do that, but I would encourage you to have separation between the two. Let's match up a few more just so you guys kind of get an idea of what to do. So let's go over to this one. Okay, let's click in it and hit the space bar. All right.
Good.
Roll it. He's ready. And again, I'm going to go off the audio. It's a little harder to match the drums and guitar because they may be off a little bit. And again, I'm going to go with the S, so I'm going to use my arrow keys. And you can clearly hear that S this time. Definitely a lot more noticeable. So use your arrow keys. They're going to help you. So let's go to the S. Right there's the S. I can hear it come in. So I for in. And we're going to come down to the timeline now, and we're going to find that S.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so.
And back it up using the arrow keys. Looks like right there. So we'll come up here to the source window and drag the video down and hover over the beginning. Turns into the red arrow and you can drag it back. Okay. Good. Give it a second to load. Now, we do know that the scale, we're going to click on it and come up to Effect Controls. The scale currently for all videos is 25, so let's change it to 25. And we do know that it was 169 on the y-axis, so we'll change it to that. And let's just drag the x-axis over, and something like this. That looks pretty close, right? So let's take a look.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty.
All right, let's do two more just so you guys, it's like really ingrained. So let's double click on this. We've got piano now. That should be very interesting to match up. Let's take a listen. Okay, so on this one, this is later in the song. I guess we only did the piano when that actually came in. So we're going to not do this one. Let's move on to another one. There we go, close up again.
Whenever you guys are ready. Rock it.
Rock it.
Okay, there's the S. Let's back it up. Right there. So I for in. And again, let's find the S. Let's back it up. There's the S. Back it up, use your arrow keys. Right there's the S. And drag it down to track 4. Hover over the beginning, red arrow, drag it back. And again, we know the scale is 25, so we're going to change that by selecting it, Effect Controls, Scale to 25. We know the y-axis is 169. And I'm actually going to not put it at 169 because we're running out of room. So I'm going to try and match it up, dragging it right there. And then I'm just going to drag it down. Again, we're just trying to create a little bit of separation, something like that. And let's take a listen.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty. Watching you self-destruct.
Looks good. Let's do one last one. All right, here we go. So let's see. Double click on the project window. We've got a different angle. And oops, went too far. You guys are gonna love this song by the end. back it up. Right there's the S. You can hear it. I for in. Let's listen in the timeline.
Destruct is left
Whoops, too far.
you. Say picture perfect world you trade for one so
Okay, there it is. Back it up. Right there's where it comes in. Drag the video down and drag it back. So it's the same process. You're just going to do it over and over and over. However many tracks you want. I don't know how many people are in your choir. I would encourage, I'm going to show you, I've built something for 25 people. 20, sorry. I built something for 20 people. Again, we're going to click on this layer, effect controls, change it to 25%. And then we're going to try and line it up as best we can by dragging. Okay. There you go. Drag it down, create some separation. And you get something like that. And let's take a look.
picture perfect world you trade for one so empty.
Okay, so you can see that's very neat. Looks nice and neat and organized. Now, here's what I've done for you. Let me just go back over this again. So again, you just click on the video. You match it up. I would encourage you to match it up on like a P, an S, a T. Those are the easiest ones to locate and find the inflections. So I would encourage you to match it up with that. Now, once you have matched it up, you're going to change it down. You're going to scale it down or scale it up. Depends on what they submit you. I may submit a small video, but you're going to scale it down or scale it up to match all other videos. That's where it's going to get tricky. However, the nice guy I am, I've already built something for you guys. So if you come over here into your project window, you just click on the tab. I've got a 3x3, a 3x3 white, a 4x4, a 4x4 white, a 5x5, and a 5x5 white. So let's just take the 4x4 white because it's going to be pretty easy to see, and we're going to drag it in. So I'm just going to take it and drag it straight into the project like this. It's going to take a second to load probably. And hopefully it works. There you go. So those are all perfectly spaced, perfectly even. Those should fit the aspect ratios of 1920 by 1080 videos. If not, I'm going to show you how to fix it. But those are all perfectly spaced and it creates this nice even pattern. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go back to the first video and we're just going to line it up. So click on the first video, effect controls, and we're just going to try and, that's not the first video. We're just going to try and match it inside the grid where it covers everything. So I don't know, that looks pretty good to me. And then let's drag it up. And there you go, right? So we know for a fact that it should be at 25% if it's 1920 by 1080. It fits perfectly within there. So let's go to the first video, which is currently in spot 2. I don't know why I did that. And let's drag and get that positioned correctly. So probably there and there, looks good. And then we'll go to the third video. We're just going to drag it again, try and get it positioned. That looks good. You know, you can fine tune these if you want to and really make it something great. There's that one. Let's go to the fourth video. Actually, I'm going to go to the fifth video because I want that over there. Yeah. And drag it up. So these lines are going to hide your cuts, and at the same time, it creates this nice even pattern, organization, And let's put this video over here. This one's harder to tell because it's so dark, but you can play around with it and get it pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look now. Okay, so you saw that the grid disappeared again. All you have to do is just drag it out. So I'm going to zoom out real quick. To zoom out, you can either come down here to your scroll bar at the very bottom and drag it out, and it'll zoom out for you. Or you can hit Z and then Option. If you hold down Option, it'll allow you to zoom out. So we'll just drag that out a little bit, and let's play it.
Picture perfect world you
I mean, it looks clean, looks neat, looks good and organized. What I would recommend doing, let's just say you're like, I don't like the white. What I would do personally is I would edit with the white, okay? And then at the very end, I do have these ones that don't say white are actually black. So what you can do is delete the white one and then just drag in the black one. Give it a second to load, sorry. And there you go. It looks like it's invisible. It's not, but there you go. That's the black one, and that'll help you as well. So you can use the black one if you want. I would encourage the white though. It's just going to make it so much easier on your eyes. And there we go. Yep, looks good. So there you go. That's going to kind of edit. That's how I would do the editing portion. Is the first step is to get all your videos placed in. I don't know how many people in your choir. This is a 5x5, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Is that right? Oh. 5, 10, 15, 20, yeah, 25. So that's enough for 25 if you wanted to do it that way. They're all, again, evenly spaced. They should perfectly fit a 1920 by 1080 aspect ratio. So that's what I would do is just start going in there and plugging them in. Plugging them in, plugging them in. And once you get them all in, then you can start the editing process. But first, let's go over, I'm going to drag this up one layer. If you can't see your layers, by the way, all you have to do is scroll up on the video and it will allow you to view your layers. Okay, so let's just say you get a video like this. Officer Ray's not going to care. Officer Ray, thanks for supporting us. I'm not going to show you his audio, but let's just pretend you get a video like this. So I'm going to drag this video in, maybe drag this video in, and let's take a look at what it looks like now. Okay, so no matter what you do, if I click on it, Effect Controls, and I scale it down, I mean, there's just no way, right? You can fit it to the width. If I click on Motion, it'll show the blue lines. I can scale it up and probably fit it to the width. Whoa, a little delay there. So I can probably fit it to the width of the box. You know, pretty close. I'm going to change it to 41. Let's see if that helps. Nope, too small. 42. Nope, 43 it is. Okay. So we can move it just slightly. There we go. Okay, so no matter what you do now, look, you've got, right? It takes up the whole thing. So what do you do? Well, here's what I would recommend. I would recommend going up to Effects and typing in Crop. And then what you're going to do is you're going to drag Crop down and just drop it onto that video clip. Okay? So it hasn't done anything yet. That's okay. This is actually kind of a cool shot, by the way. You might want to use that. I don't know. But what I would recommend doing is going over to Effect Controls now. And right here on Effect Controls, you'll see Crop left, top, right, and bottom. So what we're going to do is, there's obviously a lot of space above his head. We don't need all that space. So we can just take the top crop, drag it over, And that's already way more manageable, right? So you can now shift this back up. Okay, that looks good, right? Now you can change the bottom crop maybe. And I know it's just a floating head right now, but hey, at least now it fits the aspect ratio, right? So this is definitely a manageable thing. Maybe you liked the other way better. Maybe you're like, I just want it to take up 2 boxes. That's actually kind of creative. That might work. You could certainly do that. I'm going to show you some editing techniques. Let's do another one. Let's say, and again, you're going to have to drag up you shouldn't add your PNG file until the very end, when you've got all your videos in. Otherwise, you'll keep dragging it like this. Let's do, Jacob Smith's not going to mind. There we go. I'm not going to show you as audio, but I will drag in the video. Maybe. Video. There we go. Give it a second to load. Okay. Now again, this is a different aspect ratio, different size. It's not 1920 by 1080, but this is probably what students are going to be submitting you. So you're going to click on it. Let's just try and get it over to Effect Controls and try and position it somewhat. Okay. Let's see if we can scale it down a little bit. Move it. Still too big. Let's scale it down to like 78 maybe. That looks pretty close. It's sticking out on the left side a little bit, so I'm going to try and slide it just a hair. Okay, so it's still sticking out a little bit, so we'll have to fix that. I'll show you how. And then you're going to drag it down. That looks pretty good. And then the left side, just a hair, is sticking out. So what we're going to do is, again, you're going to come up to Effect Controls, Crop, drag and drop that onto your video. Effect Controls, and we're just going to take the left side in 1%. And there it goes. It cleared off this side. So if I take it off, you can see the edge right here. It's kind of sticking out a little bit, so let's just change it to 1. And it hides it. So that's how you're going to fix any videos that are not correctly proportional. They shot it weird, whatever. Let's take a look. I know those two aren't going to be singing the song, but you get the idea. Okay, I hope everybody sees how it's lagging right now. This is good. I needed to show you this. So it's lagging right now because everybody sees this red line right here. If you see a red line, that means the computer can no longer process or keep up with what you're doing, so you need to do what's called render. To render, it's really easy. The shortcut key is either Command-R or Control-R. We're going to hit that. And unfortunately, the more layers you do, the more you're going to have to render, the longer it's going to take. That's just one thing that's kind of the downside about it. I'm not going to let it render the whole 100% because it would take, looks like 16 minutes, 17 minutes to do that. But I'll let it go a little bit just so we can watch the video. So let me recap just while we're doing this. The very first step, make sure you change your keyboard preferences, your shortcuts, making sure it's Final Cut Pro 7. The second thing, make sure you drag in a video that is 1920 by 1080. Make sure. That is the correct aspect ratio, which is 16 by 9, and that is the definition that you're shooting for, the resolution, right? So make sure it's a 1920 by 1080. If you do not have a video that's 1920 by 1080, 1280 by 720 is what you should be looking for. If you drop in a video that's 1280 by 720, just keep in mind you're going to have to scale the PNG file down a little bit when you get to that part. Matching it up, the next step would be bringing in audio. So the audio, the final mix, whatever you guys have done, bringing in the final mix, and then you're going to match it up video to audio. Use your S's, your P's, and your T's. Those are going to be the easiest to match up. They really pop. And then once you've got all of your layers in, that's when you can start editing. And if I were you, and I'm not telling you what to do. I know nothing about choir. I know a little bit about choir. I'm a pretty good singer. I'm a good choir singer. All right, so what I would do is I would probably put like Maybe your sopranos over here on the left. Ooh, I said sopranos. Let's do another one. Maybe you put your tenors right here and your bass, and then your other guys. I don't know. That's all I know, guys. Sopranos, tenors, and bass. I don't know if there's another one, right? But I would kind of line them up like that. Maybe sopranos, tenors across, bass, whatever. And I'm about to show you how to start editing. All right, so I'm going to cancel this render right now because I've got a green line all the way to where I need it. And let's take a look. You can see it's kind of smoothed back out and it can keep up with what you're doing. Looks pretty clean, looks neat. So now it's time to do the editing. Okay, here we go. So the one key that you need to know right now is the B key. B for blade. B for blade. Blade. If you hit B, it's going to change into a razor blade, which allows you to cut your videos. A changes it back to arrow. So A for arrow, B for blade. Know those, it's going to help your life. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to start being creative, right? So I'm going to hit Command A, which selects everything, and I'm just going to move it down because I think the song starts a little before. Nope, it doesn't. It starts right on beat. So Command Z. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to start just with the guitar, right? So to do that, all you're going to do is drag these layers backwards. Or forwards, I guess. That'd be forwards, right? So we're just going to drag them. Wrong layer. And we're going to drag them. All right, so we got this. All right, so I always like to cut on beats. So right when that second guitar comes in, I'm probably going to add another video. So like there, I guess. So what video do we want to add? Maybe we want to add, let's just do the first video. How about that? So we got this now. Let's drag this down. Wow, I was way off. So maybe there, it starts there. Whoops. Okay, so I didn't realize we were on the drums there, so we could probably extend that out. So right there, I'm going to add the drums. And again, you guys probably know about pacing and rhythm and beats, and so you guys are probably going to be really great editors naturally. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so you get the idea. You can just kind of have them come in whenever you want to. Here's what I'm going to do next. So I actually want to do something creative where he starts singing, but it takes up 4 boxes. But I don't want to mess up the integrity of the rest of the edit. I've kind of got it positioned where I want to, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete Jacob Smith just because it's so short. I'm going to go ahead and delete Officer Ray for now. You guys get the idea of how to match them up. All right, so this is Caleb's his name. We're going to drag this one back pretty far. So I want him to come in right when he starts singing. So right there is where it's going to start. I'm going to drag it over, right? So we got this. Okay, so how long do I want him to sing? Maybe this is a solo, right? Maybe you got a soloist in your choir. How long do we want him to do it? Well, let's just listen.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty.
Okay, so right there, I want it to stop right there. So what I'm going to do, instead of dragging like we've been doing, I'm going to hit B for blade, and I'm gonna cut it right there. It's a magnet right here. It'll automatically, wherever your timeline is, if you click close to it, it's gonna cut right there on that spot. So what that does is it turns this clip, this one clip, into two. So whatever I do to this shot right here is not going to affect the integrity of this shot. So let me show you. So I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna scale up this shot by going to Effect, Controls, and I'm just gonna scale it up, and I'm gonna try and position it right. Looks like it's still a little small, so let's do 50. It's probably right on. And we're gonna drag it down. There we go. Let's take a look at this.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty.
And it's gonna switch now.
Watching you.
Right? So we didn't affect the integrity of the other shots. So now it's just, you're matching it up. Maybe you've got sopranos have a big part and you only show the sopranos, right? Maybe you want to show the entire, you just want to simplify it. I'm just going to show the entire choir the entire time. That is perfectly okay. You guys now should know how to match it up and crop and change your images. But I would encourage you, if you've got time, play with it, you know? You don't have to show videos the whole time. It's okay to show black screen like I'm doing right now. If I was really gonna mess with this, I'd probably do, you know, I'd probably change this shot right here while it's just the guitar. Maybe it takes up half the screen or something. You're just kind of playing with it.
Picture perfect.
I hate that he comes in late. So I'm actually gonna extend this out. There we go.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty. Watching you.
So maybe right now we want the drums to take up right here, the full 4 squares right here. So all we'd have to do is first find the drums. There it is, okay? So I'm gonna cut right there. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, how long do I want the drums to go? Well, let's play it.
Self-destruct is left.
Maybe right there, okay? So cut it again. So now I have an independent clip that I can scale up. So let's scale it to 50. We know 50 takes up 4 squares. So let's move it. Slide it down. Oops, too far. Okay, let's play it. So now it's just a matter of having fun once you get this all lined up.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty. Watching you self-destruct.
Maybe I want the guitar, which is layer 2, for whatever reason we did that.
Has left me screaming, but you.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut it right here. I want this to take up, you know, I want 50 for the guitar. Okay, and we're gonna drag it down, slide it over. The lines will hide the cuts.
Self-destruct has left me screaming, but you had a way out.
Okay, so right here, there's actually a backup vocal that's about to come in.
A way out.
So maybe you have your backup vocal finally come in, but it's essentially you're going through, and once you've matched everything up, now you're just playing around, right? Obviously, I would have all the boxes filled, okay? And I can actually do that if you want me to. Which shot is this? Okay, that's okay. So what I can do is I can just duplicate these real quick. You don't need to know how to do this because you're not going to be duplicating, but what I can do is I can fill these. Maybe I put it over here. Let me just do it real fast for you guys. I know you're probably bored and ready to go. Put this one here. Okay. Let's see, we'll put this one. What is this one? Oh, you get the idea. So what I would do is I'd fill all these boxes, and then at different times, I would just focus on specific groups. Maybe you cut all the boxes off, they all turn black, and you've got the sopranos, right? Maybe they all turn black, and you've got just the tenors. Maybe they're all singing at once during one part. Maybe you have a soloist or a couple soloists that you want to take full screen or 50%. So you're just going to play around with it. Let's just watch it one more time and see what you guys think. So let's just change this. I'm going to cut it. Do something crazy. Let's do, I don't know, 75. Is not going to work. Has to be 50. There we go. Kind of neat. Start in the middle. Black screens around it. And you could even do like, maybe we just cut the. It'll snap if you drag it. Yep. So maybe we start with no screen, right? Then the PNG is going to pop up. Kind of neat.
Picture perfect world you trade for one so empty. Watching you self-destruct has left me screaming, but you had a way out.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there. And there you go. You're just having fun. Once you get them all matched up, the rest is easy. It shouldn't take that long. I mean, a couple hours probably just to have fun and edit together a piece. Again, once you get them matched up, you could just do the boxes are all the kids at all times. You don't have any fancy editing. You don't have to do fancy editing if that's what you want to do. But this is how you would go around and just kind of mix it up, show different things, make it a little bit more lively, whatever. But it's up to your discretion. The last thing that you're going to do, what I would do is Command S is going to save your work. I'd recommend doing that about every 20 minutes. By default, Premiere Pro is going to do it every 30, but every once in a while, it crashes for whatever reason and you've lost everything. So I'd recommend, Command S every 20 minutes. When you're done, when you finally finish everything, you're going to go up to File, Export, Media. It's going to pop up a dialog box. On the left-hand side, it's going to show a preview, hopefully. Oh, I haven't got this on. Oh, whoops. Let's try that again. File, Export, Media. It really does not like me today. Oh, I'm exporting audio, that's why. And you want to make sure that it is not MP3, that you Sorry guys, give me a second to figure out why it's only exporting audio. No, cancel. Bizarre. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to change the output name to whatever you want it to be. Save it to your desktop. We'll call it Zoom. And you can come down here and make sure all the settings are right. Right here is 1920 by 1080. And use maximum render quality. If you click match sequence settings, which is what I did, it's going to match that 1920 by 1080 video that you originally put in. So that's what I would recommend. And then you're gonna export. This is 757 right now. That's because we did not delete the clip at the very end. Remember the first one that we dragged in? Just delete it. And it's now 339, which is the song length. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do. And there you have it. I think that is going to about cover it. I know it is a very overwhelming, it's very overwhelming, very overwhelming. That's okay. Take your time. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm always available. The biggest thing is to make sure that the first video you drop in is 1920 by 1080. Make sure it's that. If not that, then at least 1280 by 720. That will start you with the correct aspect ratio. From there, put in your audio, sync up all your videos. The rest is just playing around and having fun. I hope this was valuable to you. I hope you learned something. If you didn't learn a thing and you're still watching at this point, I'm just asking how bored are you, because you're just listening to the sound of my voice. Anyway, stay tuned in the future for more tutorials, and good luck on all your editing endeavors. I'm Travis Sherman, and we'll see you next time.